There is a hush in the air tonight, not the silence of absence, but the silence that falls just before a storm, breaks the kind of storm that clears the sky rather than destroys it. I feel it pressing against my chest the moment I tune into this frequency, and I know, without needing to see anything, that someone is standing on the other side of a door they have been too afraid to knock on. Someone is holding words in their mouth like stones they have carried for far too long, and those words have begun to cut the inside of their cheeks. They are bleeding with the weight of what they have not yet said to you. I want you to breathe with me for a second. Just one slow inhale. Because what I am picking up around your energy field, Virgo, is not ordinary. This is not the static of everyday life. This is the trembling vibration of a heart that has finally cracked open under the pressure of truth. Someone has been watching you, not in the way that makes your skin crawl, though there is some of that energy around you too, which we will get to. No, this watching is different. This is the gaze of a person who has memorized the way your shoulders fall when you are tired, who knows the rhythm of your footsteps without having to look up, who has, perhaps without your knowledge, mapped every frequency of your laughter and stored it in the part of their memory that refuses to let go. And I feel them tonight, restless, pacing, rehearsing sentences that keep dissolving on their tongue because no arrangement of words feels sufficient for the magnitude of what they need to confess. I am hearing the phrase, "I was wrong," not as a weapon, not as manipulation, but as a surrender. As the final white flag waved by someone who has fought against their own heart for so long that the battle has exhausted them completely, this person is not approaching you from a place of ego, Virgo. I need you to understand that the energy around this apology is too heavy to be performative. It carries the specific gravity of genuine remorse. I feel someone who has lost sleep, who has walked through their days in a fog of regret so thick that they have bumped into furniture, spilled coffee, forgotten their own address, not because they are clumsy or scattered by nature, but because you have occupied the center of their mental landscape to such a degree that everything else has been pushed to the periphery. You have become their primary coordinates, and they are lost without your forgiveness. Let me tell you who this feels like. I am getting earth energy strongly. Taurus, Capricorn, possibly another Virgo, but there is water here too. Deep water, Cancer or Scorpio, perhaps Pisces. Someone who feels things in currents rather than in bursts. This is not a person who explodes and then forgets. This is someone who absorbs, who takes in every word, every glance, every silence between you, and lets it settle into their bones like sediment. They have been carrying layers of you for months, maybe years, and those layers have compressed under the weight of time into something that feels like geological truth, immutable, heavy, permanent. And they have reached a point where carrying this weight without your knowledge has become physically painful. I feel tightness in their chest when I tune in, a constriction around the throat, the body keeping score of every unsaid thing. Why now, you might wonder? Why does the clock strike apology at this particular hour? I am hearing divine timing, but let me translate that into something your body can understand. This person has been through a dismantling, not the gentle kind where you shed old skin in private, the brutal kind where the universe strips you of every illusion you have been using to stay comfortable and leaves you standing naked in front of a mirror you did not ask for. I feel that something has collapsed in their world recently. Maybe a job, maybe a friendship, maybe the death of someone they loved, maybe simply the slow, grinding realization that they have built their entire life on foundations that do not include the one person who actually saw them. And in the rubble of whatever has fallen, they have found a photograph of you. Not a literal photograph, though it could be, but a memory so sharp and so bright that it hurt to look at it. A moment when you were kind to them when they did not deserve kindness. A moment when you saw past their performance and touched the raw, frightened child underneath. They have been carrying that memory like a talisman, and tonight it has begun to burn. I want to speak directly to the part of you that has already started to armor up, the Virgo in you that has cataloged every slight, every inconsistency, every moment when this person chose their pride over your peace. I know that part of you. It is the part that keeps spreadsheets of emotional wounds, that alphabetizes betrayals, so you can access them quickly when someone asks for your trust again. And I am not here to tell you that part of you is wrong. It has kept you safe. It has kept you sovereign. But I am here to tell you that the person approaching you now is not the same person who hurt you. Not exactly. They have been alchemized by regret, transformed by the specific, merciless fire of realizing they let something precious slip through their fingers because they were too busy clenching their fists. I am seeing a scene, a room that smells like rain even though the windows are closed, this person sitting across from you, or perhaps standing because their body cannot contain the voltage of what they need to say. Their hands are shaking, not dramatically, but in the small way that only someone who knows them well would notice. A tremor in the left hand. They keep touching their collarbone, or their jaw, or some other place where tension lives, and they look at you, and for a moment the words fail completely, because you are more beautiful than they remembered. Not in a superficial way, but in the way that truth is beautiful when you have been surrounded by lies for too long. You look like home to them, and they have been homeless for so long that the sight of you nearly brings them to their knees. I need you to know, they begin, and their voice breaks on the third word. Not because they are weak, but because the dam they built to hold back their feelings has finally reached capacity. I need you to know that I have been a fool, not in the romantic sense that poets glorify, but in the real, ugly, humiliating sense of having had something irreplaceable in my hands and convincing myself I could find it again later, or that it would wait for me while I played at being important, or that I deserved something shinier. I was wrong. I was so wrong that the wrongness of it has become the only true thing I know. I am hearing that this conversation will not be easy. It will not be the cinematic reunion where music swells and everything is forgiven in a single frame. No, this is going to be messy. There will be tears that come at unexpected moments. Yours, possibly, theirs, definitely. There will be moments when you want to walk away because the pain of remembering how much you cared feels like reopening a wound you have worked hard to close. There will be questions that hang in the air like smoke. Why did you wait so long? Why did you have to break me before you could see my value? Did you ever really love me, or do you just love the idea of me now that I am gone? These questions will not have clean answers. The person in front of you does not have clean answers. They have only the dirty, honest truth of someone who has been excavated by loss. But here is what I feel underneath the mess. A current of sincerity so strong that it could power a city. This person has done the work. Not the performative work of buying flowers or writing poetry they do not mean. The invisible work. The work of sitting alone in dark rooms and forcing themselves to replay every cruel thing they said, every moment they took you for granted, every time they chose their fear over your heart. They have not flinched from it. They have let it destroy the version of themselves that could hurt you so casually. And what is left is someone tender, someone raw, someone who understands that love is not a feeling that happens to you like weather, but a decision you keep making even when it costs you everything. I am also sensing that this apology is not just about the past. It is about the future. This person is not coming to you merely to unburden their conscience and then disappear again. No, they are coming with a blueprint. I see them laying something down in front of you. Not a ring, necessarily, though for some of you it could be, but something more valuable than jewelry. A plan, a commitment written in the language of action rather than words. I have found a therapist. I have ended the situation that was dividing my attention. I have moved. I have changed. I have burned the bridges that led back to who I was when I hurt you. They are not asking you to believe them based on charm. They are asking you to believe them based on evidence. And that, Virgo, is the only currency you have ever truly accepted. There is a specific detail I keep getting. A letter or a message written at an unusual hour. 3:17 a.m. or something similarly specific. This person has been drafting and redrafting this communication for weeks. There are versions of it in their notes app that would make you weep if you saw them, paragraphs deleted because they sounded too desperate. Sentences rewritten 10 times to get the tone exactly right, not manipulative right, but honest right. The way you would arrange flowers on a grave, carefully, reverently, knowing that the placement of every stem matters because it is the last thing you can offer. And I feel you, Virgo, reading this message or hearing these words, and something in your chest that you had frozen begins to thaw just a fraction of a degree, just enough to hurt. Because hope is painful when you have trained yourself not to feel it. You have been so disciplined in your healing, so methodical in your moving on. You have organized your grief into manageable compartments and checked off your recovery like a to-do list. And now this person arrives with their sincerity and their tears and their trembling hands, and they threaten to undo all your careful architecture. I want you to know that it is okay to be angry about that. It is okay to resent the interruption. You are allowed to say, I was finally sleeping through the night and you have woken me up. But I also want you to know what I see on the other side of this conversation if you choose to have it. I see a merging of timelines, not the old timeline where they were careless and you were wounded, a new one, a timeline where their apology is not the end of the story but the foundation of something that has never existed before, because you have changed too, Virgo. You are not the person who loved them without boundaries. You have grown thorns where you once had only petals, and those thorns are not cruel. They are intelligent. They are the wisdom your body grew to protect the softness underneath. And this new version of you, the one who has survived their absence and built a life that glows even in the dark, is the version they are actually meeting for the first time. They do not know this you yet. They are in awe of this you. And if they are worthy of the conversation they are initiating, they will spend the rest of their lives learning who you have become. Let me speak about the energy around you right now, because it is not just this one person. There is a gathering. I feel multiple eyes on you, and not all of them belong to people with good intentions. There is someone in your orbit who has noticed your glow up, and I hate that word, but it is the only one that fits your transformation, your ascent, your becoming. And this someone is not happy about it. They are watching you through a lens of envy, so distorted that you look like a threat to them, even when you are simply existing. I am getting Leo energy here, or perhaps Aries. Someone who needs to be the sun and cannot tolerate another star in their sky. They have been observing the attention you are receiving, the way people turn their heads when you enter a room, the quiet power you have cultivated, and it has activated something ugly in them. Not dangerous, necessarily, but petty, gossipy. The kind of energy that spreads rumors not because they are true, but because your truth is too bright and they need to dim it to feel visible. But here is the thing about this jealous observer. They are irrelevant to the current story. Their noise is static on a frequency you are no longer tuned to. The universe is asking you to keep your eyes on the one who is approaching with their heart in their hands, not the one who is throwing stones from the shadows. The stones cannot reach you where you are going. You are too high now, too anchored in your own worth, and the person who is coming to apologize sees that worth. They see it so clearly that it has become the standard by which they now judge themselves, and they have found themselves wanting. That is a rare thing, Virgo. Most people will rearrange the entire world to avoid feeling inadequate. This person is choosing to sit in their inadequacy and offer it to you as proof of their love. I am not enough. They are essentially saying, but I am willing to spend my life trying to become enough for you. I am hearing something about a gift, not an expensive gift, though it might have cost them something, but a meaningful one. Something that references a private joke or a moment only the two of you shared. A book you mentioned wanting years ago, a recording of a song that played during a significant night. They have been collecting these fragments of your shared history like evidence in a trial where they are both defendant and prosecutor, and they are ready to present their case, not to win, not to be acquitted, but to be understood, to have you look at the exhibit and say, you remembered. Because remembering is the only magic they have left. It is the spell they are casting to bridge the distance between who they were and who they want to be for you. There is also a conversation within the conversation that I need to mention, an emotional layer that will not be spoken aloud, but will hang in the room like humidity. It is the conversation about fear. Their fear that they have destroyed something so thoroughly that even their best effort at repair will not be enough. Your fear that letting them close again will undo the independence you have fought so hard to build. The unspoken negotiation between two people who have been hurt by each other, even if you hurt them by leaving, even if they hurt you by not seeing you while you were still there. I feel that this emotional conversation will require a new language, not the old language of your relationship, which was probably full of shortcuts and assumptions and lazy habits. A new language where every word is chosen with care, where silence is respected as a form of speech, where I need time is heard as I am still here, rather than I am leaving again. I want to tell you about the aftermath I see, not the immediate aftermath, which will be tender and exhausting and probably involve more tears than either of you expect, but the aftermath that unfolds over the following weeks. I see this person becoming a student of you. Not in a creepy, obsessive way, but in the way a gardener learns the needs of a specific plant. They pay attention to your rhythms. They notice that you need solitude after social events. They remember that you prefer your tea a certain way. They start texting you not to demand your attention, but to leave little offerings at the shrine of your day. A song, a photograph of something that made them think of you, a voice note that says nothing important except I am here and I am thinking of you and I am not going anywhere. These small things, Virgo, these are the atoms of rebuilt trust. You cannot see them with the naked eye, but they are what hold the new structure together. And I feel you, slowly, cautiously, allowing yourself to be loved again. Not with the abandon of before, not with the naive generosity that gave everything and asked for nothing, but with the sophisticated, self-respecting love of someone who knows their own value. You let them in an inch at a time, you test the doors you open, you check the locks at night, and each time they pass a test, each time they show up when they say they will, each time they choose your peace over their ego, each time they apologize for a small hurt before it becomes a big one, you relax another fraction. It is slow, it is not cinematic, but it is real. And real is the only thing that has ever satisfied you, even when you pretended that fantasy was enough. There is a warning I must deliver, because my job is not to paint only in watercolor. There is a false person nearby, someone who sees this sincere apology coming toward you and wants to intercept it, not because they love you, but because they cannot stand to see you loved well. This could be an ex who suddenly resurfaces with their own version of remorse the moment they sense competition. It could be a friend who has been subtly undermining your confidence and now sees their influence slipping away. It could be a family member who has benefited from your loneliness and fears what will happen if you are no longer available to them at all hours. Whoever they are, they will try to poison this moment. They will say they are only apologizing because they want something, or you are too good for them, you should make them suffer longer, or remember when they did this, and this, and this, and every word they say will be factually true, because facts are the easiest weapons to find, but their intention will be false. Their intention will be to keep you small, to keep you alone, to keep you needing them more than you need your own happiness. Do not let anyone who has not done the work of loving you dictate the terms of your forgiveness. You are the only one who knows what this person means to you. You are the only one who can feel whether their apology resonates in the deep place where your truth lives. And if it does resonate, if your body says yes, even while your mind recites a list of reasons to say no, then you are allowed to choose the conversation. You are allowed to choose the emotional risk. You are allowed to be brave enough to believe that people can change, not because everyone does, but because this one has shown you the specific, unmistakable signs of transformation, the humility, the patience, the willingness to wait without demanding, the willingness to be rejected and still love you from a distance. I am getting one final image before I close this transmission. A garden at dawn, the kind of garden that has been neglected for a season, where the weeds have grown tall and the roses have grown wild on thorny, untended canes, and two people kneeling in the dirt, not facing each other but working side by side in silence. One of them is you, Virgo. Your hands are in the soil, and you are pulling up roots that no longer serve the landscape. The other person is beside you, and they are not talking, they are working. They are bleeding from thorns they did not plant, and they are not complaining. They are simply showing up day after day to restore what was left to ruin. And as the sun rises higher, you begin to notice that the garden is changing, not instantly, but incrementally. A cleared path where there was once only bramble, a bud where there was once only dead wood, the slow, irrefutable evidence that something beautiful can grow from the wreckage if both people are willing to kneel in the dirt together. That is what waits on the other side of this apology. Not a guarantee, not a fairy tale, but a chance. A real, breathing, imperfect chance to build something that honors who you have both become. The conversation will be emotional. It will probably be one of the most vulnerable experiences of your recent life, but it will also be sacred. Because sincerity is sacred, especially in a world that has trained us to perform our feelings rather than inhabit them, this person is coming to you without a mask, without a script, with nothing but the bruised, hopeful truth of someone who has finally understood that love is not about winning, it is about staying. It is about choosing over and over the one person who makes your soul feel recognized. So when they knock, Virgo. When they call, when that message comes through at the strange hour with the words that have taken them weeks to arrange, breathe, feel your feet on the floor, remember who you are now, not who you were when they hurt you, and then decide, not from fear, not from pride, not from the voices of the jealous observers or the false friends who want you small. Decide from the deep, quiet place inside you that has always known what you actually need. That place will not lie to you. It has kept you safe through every storm. Trust it now. Trust that you are strong enough to survive another conversation. Trust that you are wise enough to know the difference between a sincere apology and a performance. And trust, most of all, that you deserve to be loved by someone who has learned, through the brutal, beautiful education of loss, exactly how precious you are. The door is about to open. Not the door to your past, the door to something you have never seen before. Walk through it if your heart says walk. Stand still if your heart says stand. But know, whatever you choose, that you are loved, that you have always been loved, and that the love that is coming towards you now, however imperfect, however delayed, is real enough to touch.